Hey everybody, today I want to talk a little bit more about transfer maps and creating normal maps within Maya. So what we're going to do today is explore this transfer map property, and you can use this for all sorts of things. And I will start by just kind of talking about what transfer maps does. Transfer maps is very trial and error like, so essentially what it's going to do is take a very high density model. In this case, I just wanted to show you that I have multiple objects that I want to convert and I want to transfer over as a texture or a normal map to this more low poly model. Now, the trick to get this to work is usually to have a very similar shaped model. You're going to have two types of models. You're going to have a low res model, which you can see I'm going to rename this, and then you're going to have your high res model. Your high-res models are very, very important to get this to work. But the important part about this is that your low-res models are UV laid out. So it's very important that you take the time and do, even if it's just a quick automatic mapping, do a quick UV kind of layout. And that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to just quickly do an automatic map and move and sew a little bit like we've learned in class, and do a quick layout, place those in, and go from there. So once the final low-res model is UV laid out, you're ready to transfer your UVs. Now, with that said, this does not need to be laid out. All of these are perfectly fine where they're at. You typically can leave the high-res model really messy and just focus on your low-res model. So let's get started. We've laid out your UVs. I'm going to put the low-res model on top of the high-res, and you can see the high-res is still poking out just slightly. So let's go ahead and go to our transfer maps, which is under the modeling or the menu set menu, and we're going to go to rendering and lighting and shading. We previously in other tutorials talked about batch bake. This is kind of a similar process. It bakes geometry into textures. We're going to use in this case the transfer maps attribute. And I'm going to reset my settings, and I'm going to clear everything just so we can start from scratch. And our target mesh is going to be this low-res mesh. And I'm going to take this low-res mesh and add selected. So that's my low-res one. And what I want to do is under mesh display, I want to change it to envelope. Now the trick with this envelope is you want this envelope to encompass all of the geometry you want to handle. Now you don't want to just do this and make it absolutely huge. You want it just to be enough. Now once you have that, we're going to go to our source mesh, and our source mesh is everything but the low-res mesh. So you can see it's the multiple objects. We're going to add selected meshes. Alright, we're ready to go now. So now that we have this ready to go, I will hit the normal map button. It looks like a reverse golf ball almost. And it will give me some options, and we'll play around with some of these other settings in a bit. And I'm going to set this to a PNG. It can be anything you'd like. PNG works. And I'm going to scroll down and do a new shader. And Maya common output, I'm going to change some of the attributes to this new shader. So I'm going to do 512 by 512. And for sampling quality, we're going to make it medium for this case to see what happens. Then I'm going to hit bake and close. And you can see it here at the bottom, it's processing. And what this is doing is taking all the geometry to the high-res objects, and it's going to turn them into a bump map for the low-res. So let's move this aside now that it's completed and hit 6 on our keyboard. And voila, you can see that. Now, I must have accidentally forgot to grab the lower sphere here, hence why I don't have it. But what happens is it's perfectly flat, as you can see, but it gives us the illusion of this depth. And what it's created for us is a normal map. So let me delete my history and go to my bump map. And there it is. So let's view this. Let's open up our editor. And you can see now you have a normal map. And it fits currently right into those UVs, which is really nice. Now at any point I can take this normal map and I can open it up into Photoshop, and I can add a little bit more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess depth to it, because right now doesn't pop as much as the last normal map. So let me close some of these settings here and open that file I just created, which I need to find. That's from a different tutorial. Typically our normal maps will be in our file folders, so right now it's sample normals, so I'm going to just search for it this way. There they are. It's a very easy way to find your normal maps using a Mac computer or the Finder in Windows. And I'm going to duplicate this by hitting Command J on my keyboard, and I'm going to set this to overlay. Now when I overlay it, you can see it really multiplies it, and so now when I save this, I'm going to resave it as a PNG, and we'll put this on the desktop so it's easier to find and call it normal, and just keep it the way it is. Go back and let's load that map we just created, we just doubled, and you'll see, it's actually kind of cool, it gets a little darker, so our normals actually pop just a little bit more. And so now what we could do is we can delete our high-res mesh, and we end up with a really nice low-res mesh. So that's a great way to create normal maps. Now let's kind of take this a step further. So we're going to go back as far as it will let us. All right, and we're going to go to lighting and shading, and let's see what else we can create. You'll see we have more options than just normal maps. We have, in this case, we'll go to high res here just to work with it. We have the ability to create color maps. We have the ability to create ambient occlusion maps, so I'll go ahead and bake that as well. So we'll add that as well. Now remember, ambient occlusion is a mental ray process, and right here it says Maya common output. We're using mental ray for occlusion, so we'll go down here and make sure this is also set to 512. And at this point, we're good to go. And we will hit bake and close. And this is going to take a little longer. Really not that bad in the long run. Sometimes you'll notice you have to bevel your geometry. You'll have to add a few more faces to your low-res geometry to get it to kind of work. In this case, I tend to have everything vertical. I don't lay flat objects horizontally on the ground to get them to work. We're about 72% done here, and we'll see what it kind of will do for us. So let's see, almost there. It's going to run through the normals. Now it's going to go to mental ray and run through that process. And right now that mental ray process is going to be the what's it called? The alpha channel, or pardon me, the occlusion map, sorry. And I swear I know what I'm talking about. So this is going to take a little bit longer just because it is running a special set of background items like your occlusion shader and so forth. But now what you'll see, and it's really quite amazing, it actually bakes that map into what you're looking for. So if I pull this off, now check that out. Not only do we got a pretty cool occlusion map, we also have that really awesome file map. So it kind of put the occlusion in our diffuse and allowed us to have the best of both worlds. So now when we render, we'll just do a quick render, that's from another file, we have a pretty gnarly map. Now if your map doesn't show up well in the render, remember, turn it to Maya Mental Ray. Maya Mental Ray handles these normal maps better. Now you can really see the quality. Now how do we get the quality better? Well, the quality is going to come into some attributes when we get down here. For instance, 16, 32 bits, all powers of 2, very important. In addition, the 512 can go higher. The mental ray attributes could also be higher as well. So all of these play a huge role in what we're doing. So that's a really quick way to do transfer maps. I'm going to do some other demos for you in other videos, but that should get you started into kind of playing around and see what you can come up with. Thanks, guys.